So imagine losing everything in less than 3 years because you decide, hey, my customers, they don't matter. That's what's happening right now in the comic book industry, and especially with companies like IDW that have not only lost millions over the last few years, but are now losing every single franchise that kept them afloat. I mean, this was a company that just a few years ago essentially had a license to print money. And now, well, what's a nice way of saying you lost more money than your company's worth? Yeah, the cosmic lottery, it has been very unkind. At the end of the day, we're talking the loss of franchises like G.I. Joe, something they've had for years. Transformers that, well, excuse the imagery, they started treating just like this gif here. And, as the road sign indicates, much, much more. Now, you and I, we are going to talk about this and much, much more today. And when I say loss, by the way, I am talking about big losses. We are talking about millions every quarter. Fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. So hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. I hope you are doing excellently. And if you've ever wondered about the impact of American comic book professionals going out denigrating their audience or telling customers after you block tens of thousands of them at one time that it's a privilege to interact with you, not a God-given right? Well, look no further than the company that we're going to talk about today, the one that is losing absolutely everything. We just found out that they're losing G.I. Joe, they're losing Transformers, and on one IDW. Now, to truly understand the level of trash fire we're experiencing, and remember, this is all their own making, by the way, they did all of this to themselves. You have to realize that IDW and the industry that they represent, the American comic book industry, it actually had success, a very high level of success at that, and decided, hey, we're going to throw it all away. I mean, look back to 2017 here. This was a high point for IDW. They were trading at over $50 a share when you look at their market summary. Now look at them. They're opening at $2.50 a share. That's the worst since their opening year in 2009. That's not broke. That's broken. And again, they did it all to themselves. Now, one of the franchises they did this with, by the way, when they're losing in 2022, it looks like, is G.I. Joe. They decided that they would add in politics. They decided that they wanted pandering instead of profit, so they brought in Aubrey Sitterson. Now, while representing one of the most patriotic brands imaginable, this guy, he not only treats customers like absolute trash, but he makes fun of 9/11. I mean, this caused a firestorm of controversy, too, when he said, hey, you know, people that are remembering this is self-centered national tragedy remembrance from people who weren't even anywhere near New York City Day, you know, because again, that's going to win over folks. Now, the guy in charge of IDW, he not only rewarded this behavior, but he did it publicly in interviews. He said, we're giving him a new franchise. The people that are complaining about this stuff, they are absolute trash. And well, the fallout from this and many other items as well, it not only cost him his job, but it cost the co-founder of the company, the CEO, his job, the president of the company, their jobs as well. Yeah, this is a company that went from $50 million in equity and riding at the highest peak imaginable to barely holding on with their fingernails, basically making statements like this. Yeah, we lost $2.1 million in the last quarter, but hey, that's an increase because you know what? Last year at the same time, we lost $3.4 million. Aren't you proud? Now, part of that hanging on by your proverbial fingernails was maintaining control of specific franchises. Ones they figured, by the way, Hasbro would never ever take away from them. They didn't take them away in 2018, and they haven't taken them away despite the damage and despite the declines we see yearly. But now it looks like they're going to lose G.I. Joe, and it looks like they're going to lose so many other franchises too. Now, this is one heck of an impact for IDW too, who is already reeling from other losses. titles. See, back in August, we found out from Bleeding Cool that IDW, they were already going to be losing the Marvel Action Kid line of titles. They needed those desperately, by the way. You think they look bad right now, losing millions upon millions? Imagine them without titles that actually have name recognition. They lost the Star Wars all ages lines too, and now we're seeing them lose even more. Quote, and again, this is from Bleeding Cool. Over the weekend at San Diego Comic-Con 2021 Special Edition, there was plenty of talk about the state of the comic book industry as it stands, as well as many moves that have been happening of late and will be happening in the very near future. And as big publishers chose not to attend the show, it meant there was much less management of information that flowed. One such nugget was that news that IDW Publishing, based just up the road at San Diego, is to not only lose their license to produce comic books based on the Transformer franchise from Hasbro, but also that they would lose the license to G.I. Joe. I did not hear anything about My Little Pony, but one could speculate. And yeah, I would speculate there. If you're losing the other Hasbro licenses, they're probably going to go with someone. They're probably just going to flush you out totally. So yeah, I mean, this is a big hit and then some. Now, this is a devastating hit for IDW, by the way, because they've been leaning on Hasbro for a long time. As far as G.I. Joe titles alone are concerned, they've controlled the publishing rights to that since October 2008. They had the main line, they've had several spin-offs as well, and this was a viable franchise. Basically, like I said at the beginning, a license to print money until around 2017, when they forgot who exactly was buying those comics, who exactly they owed success to. They thought they were the big dog on campus, and well, they're learning that they're not. Now, to truly drive home how bad this is going to be for the company, I really want you to look at this here. This is from IDWMediaHolding.com. This is one of the stock reports from IDW. They have to provide this because they're publicly traded, and unlike, say, a Disney or a Warner, since they're a smaller company, you can actually see what's going on with more transparency. Now, when you look at net loss income, you notice if it has a bracket around it, it's a loss. Almost everything that they have, quarter to quarter, it's a loss. They're losing $1 million here. They're losing $4.5 million there. And again, we're talking about in a span of months. The only time that they showcase any type of profit is when they cannibalize their company. In fact, they didn't sell comic books. They didn't sell off any type of movie or a franchise. Nope, they sold off part of their company to investors. Even when they took money from the taxpayer for PPP loans, they lost money then. I mean, that's how bad things are. So this isn't going to hurt them. This is going to put them in the ground.